Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to another episode of All the Mods 7. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. Last episode, we built our mob spawner farm thing here, and it's working great. Everything's going well. I did have to add a way to prevent the Enderman from teleporting, and there is actually a pretty easy way to do that. If you look at RF Tools, there's a block called the environmental controller, which isn't super hard to make, and then you can combine it with a no teleport module. You can place it down, power it, and then add a no teleport module, and that will prevent an Enderman from teleporting in theory, but like I'm still getting Enderman teleporting every now and again, so I don't know what the deal is. Maybe we just need to boost the range of it. Oh, okay, turn off farm first before going into farm so it doesn't kill me. Mistakes were made. It's fine. We're good. So, yeah, this is what it looks like. Let's just boost this up to, like, 70. And you know what? Nah, we'll go all the way up to 100. It's fine. Now we'll go to 70. Oh, but it's between height and height. That's probably what the issue is. So let's actually change that to 3 and 70. That's probably what was happening. Radius 50. Okay, cool. And now, and we'll say 100. There we go. That should prevent any teleports from happening. It was probably to do with the height. Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, that thing's not super hard to make, and it works pretty well. You know, the problem was we were having Endermen spawning in the farm, and then they would instantly just teleport elsewhere, and there were Endermen, like, all over my base, which was not good. But this should fix that problem. What I want to do today is I want to make sort of like a central processing area for, or a central crafting and processing area for our base. So we're going to have a bunch of mechanism machines there, smelting, infusing, basically a place where I can go if I need to craft up a bunch of stuff. We'll have a refined storage interface there. And some of it will be done automatically. I want to get it set up where all of these ores, for the most part, just sort of get automatically processed into their ingot, rather than me having to grab a whole bunch of ores manually and dump them into a smelter like so. This will allow it to just automatically do it. Once the ore ends up in the system, it'll get exported into a smelter where it will get processed and all that kind of good stuff. We may need to boost our power generation in order for this to happen. I'm not entirely sure. But we got options to do that. We have ways. I don't know. We'll have to see. Also, we've got this quarry running, and at the moment, I have probably enough resources I could turn this off. And this thing is easily the largest power drain that we have. So we'll have to play around with it a little bit. But the first thing I need to do is actually dig out the space where this thing is going to go. I think I found out the problem. It needs to be set to host so that it affects hostile mobs. Otherwise, it only affects players. So that seems to be the issue. It says it needs more power, but the power is holding steady. So that should fix the issue, I think. So yeah, we should be good now. Anyway, I think I'm going to put the processing area kind of off in this direction. And then over on the left side. You can see I've run a refined storage conduit to over here, and we'll be able to run this line over that way so that we can have access to a crafting grid and all the other refined storage stuff we'll need, importers, exporters, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I got some digging to do. Well, I've been doing a bit of work on the room. I've got it all dug out, and I've got kind of the design of it. I decided to go with these brown bricks, which are made using terracotta and bricks. So just like the normal bricks. I'll just show you. It's easier. This is the recipe. Makes 4, and then you can put them in a special stone cutter thingy to get stairs and slabs and all the other stuff for them as well. But this is where we are going to set up our ore processing area. And there are very few ores that I think are actually worth doubling at this point, because the quarry just gives it, like, realistically, how much iron do you need? You know? So even though, yeah, we could get more out of these by, you know, finding a way to double them and all that kind of stuff, I just don't think it's really necessary, so I'm not going to. So what we're actually going to do is set up a bunch of factories here, and I think I'm going to just put a blazing ender cell there. That's going to be our power source. And then I've made 9 of these ultimate smelting factories, which should fit perfectly right there. Okay, so these things are what we are going to use to actually process all of the ores from our refined storage system. I'm just going to run a bunch of cables like so. That way these guys all get power, which you can see is working just fine. And then what we need to do is set all of these to eject on input from the back and output to the bottom. So you know what? Let's just clear all sides. Output, input, energy. And that's how they're all going to go. Okay, there we go. There's the last one. And then what we want to do is set this up so that once everything has been processed, it is sent here to an ultimate ender chest. So let's just grab, I actually need 9 of these logistical transporters. So let's just make another batch. I guess I gotta do it here. There we go, and one more. Okay. And then we should have enough. Beautiful. So the way that this will work is just like that. Change this to configurate items. And we want to change all of these to suck stuff out of here and send it into this chest, which, as you know, goes to the refined storage system. Also, a lot of you have told me that you can use an Eye of Ender to upgrade this thing, to make the capacity larger, and that does actually seem to be the case. How big can it go? Looks like it can only go up to 27. But that's pretty cool. I don't know if that will work. Will that work on all of them? We can test later. But either way, that's pretty nifty. This is our chest that obviously that goes into our refined storage system. So this is all good. So now what we need to do is actually hook all of these up to the refined storage system itself. And what we're going to do for that is grab a bunch of exporters, just like so. Since we happen to have this cable that runs to a crafting grid there and another crafting grid here, this is conveniently located that we can pretty easily just export everything we need. So let's grab all the various things that we want to export, and then let's also grab stack and speed upgrades for each. And we're just going to say iridium, and each one will get 2 speed upgrades. I actually like the stack upgrades on top. It makes 0 difference, by the way. You can put them in whatever you want. But 2 stack upgrades, 2 speed upgrades for each one. So that should be plenty to get this thing going. But we're just going to say this exports iron ingots to this thing. They will process and be spat out here, where they will go to the chest, which goes back into our refined storage system, so that rather than having ore, we will have... Oh, actually, what am I doing? Duh. We don't need to export the iron ingots. We need to export the ores. I'm a fool. Okay, let me go get all the ores we need. All right, there we go. These should be good. So we've got iron, copper, gold, and then this one is uranium and platinum. This one is lead and iridium, tin and zinc, raw osmium and aluminum, nickel and azure silver, which is from the end. And then this one is silver and all of the resonating ores. So that should work pretty well. And all we need to do now is actually hook this thing up to the refined storage system. We'll do it like that. And you can see, didn't take too long, but these things are quickly filling up, which is great. Now, the downside is these don't have any speed upgrades in the moment, so they're going to be pretty slow, but we can remedy that by throwing some speed upgrades and all that kind of good stuff in them. Also, we don't actually need access to this little back passage anymore. Everything does seem... Yep, you can see it all shooting off over here. And this thing does seem to be keeping up no problem, at least for the moment. So let's put those back. And let's just see, when it comes to the upgrades from Mechanism, how many of these am I going to need? 9 times 8, so 72 of each. So I'll need 72 speed upgrades and 72 energy upgrades so they don't completely destroy my power. But once those are in, we're going to be chewing through our ore processing very, very quickly, which will be great. Okay, upgrades are installed and everything seems to be working perfectly. I also went ahead and installed muffling upgrades on all of these. You can take 4 of them, and with 4, they will completely silence the machine. You can also do like 1, like do maybe 3 of them, so you get a little bit of noise, but not a ton. So maybe that's what I'll do. Like, the problem is these things are so loud that you can actually hear them up in the room up above if you're not, like, super... yeah. The muffling upgrades are quite nice if you just want a nice, quiet bass. And since these are basically going to be running, like, 99.9% of the time, I think it would be wise to have muffling upgrades on them. But yeah, that's the ore processing. That should pretty much take care of any sort of issues with me having to manually smelt down ores to make sure that I've got enough. I mean, you can already see we're getting tons and tons of different ores. These things are working great. They're sending everything into the ender chest. The ender chest is keeping up just fine. So all is well, and that will slowly deplete our stockpile of all these ores in here, which is actually great because most of these were maxed out. They were at 16.4. And sure, I could put more upgrades on the storage drawers to make them bigger, but like, why? Better just process it what we already have. I did actually turn off my quarry temporarily because we had filled up the drawers with basically all of the ores. So now the question is our reactor... Our reactor is not producing enough power. Okay, that's kind of what I was afraid of. So let's do... is it Shift? Alt. It's Alt to apply to all. There we go. So let's see if after changing the insertion rate, it is still not keeping up. Okay, so we are going to need a bigger reactor. And that's kind of what I thought might happen. For now, let's just turn off the quarry, because that's the biggest power draw by far, and we don't really need it. Excuse me? Why are you still draining? I turned you off? Can this just not support? Oh no, now it's going back up again. Okay, I guess there was just a little bit of a delay there or something. That was kind of weird. But yeah, it looks like this will keep up. But yeah, we're definitely going to need to make a larger reactor. or some other alternate source of power power generation, because what we have right now is not cutting it as we expand and get more and more stuff. Yeah, man, I can hear those mechanism machines. I must be standing like directly above them when I'm in the center of the room there. But that's fine. This is cool. We're producing tons of ores, so I'm pretty happy. Well, my friends, I have done a bit more work. Real quick, if you hear a little bit of static, that's actually because there's a blood moon. And whenever there's the blood moon, there is a constant like static hiss in the background. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it or not, but if you can, that it's actually from the game. It's not something weird with my audio. I don't know why whoever implemented that decided that the best sound effect would just be a constant static hiss, but it is what it is. Anyway, so this is all good, and in fact, these furnaces have pretty much cleared out the vast majority of my ores. All that's still left is copper, and then some random ores because I got my quarry running again, and that's basically it. And as long as all of these furnaces aren't running at the exact same time, our power supply is still fine. Although we are definitely going to need to produce more power very soon. Over here, I set up a couple more sort of crafting stations. This is just another smelter. In case I need to... The stuff on this wall is basically designed so that if I need to craft just like a handful of a couple things, I can come over here and do it. So here we have a furnace, one of those ultimate smelting factories, just for anything I need to, throw into a furnace. Here we have an enriching factory, and this is basically used for making stuff from mechanism. And then over here we have an infusing factory, which is also basically used for making various components and things like that from mechanism. And I do find myself using these because we're still using mechanism for a lot of different stuff, pipes, energy conduits, all that kind of stuff. But this is basically the room. I think it's pretty much done. Obviously I will be adding... we have a lot of unused space here, but I'm just going to kind of add stuff to it as I need to. Right now, these are the only machines that I'm actually using very regularly. So if I find myself using something else, I want to set up another crafting station, I'll just find a spot for it and plug it in. I will show you kind of what we have in the back here. It's pretty straightforward. On the bottom, we have a logistical transporter that feeds back into that ender chest. On the top, we have cables, which will power all the machines here. And then the middle section will be for items or whatever else I need. So this setup works pretty well. It's easily, you got plenty of room back here to work with, and it should totally get the job done. And most importantly, it looks nice. Like, it's all covered up. You don't see any of the nonsense back there, you only see this. So it works out pretty good. Now, one thing I do want to show you, I've had a couple people ask about my Tinker's tools, and to be fair, I'm not really using Tinker's tools very much anymore because, to be honest, the Vibranium and Unobtainium tools that are enchanted with, like, stupidly overpowered enchantments from our ridiculous apotheosis or however it's pronounced enchanting setup here are just better. They're just better than the Tinker's tools. But I've had a lot of people ask about the Tinker's tools because some people do use them and aren't super familiar with like what modifiers and stuff like that to put on there. So sure, I can show you briefly what the tools are. They're pretty much all the same, and there's a lot of different ways you can do this. For the most part, they all have cobalt heads, except for the cleaver, which I ended up using Supremium just for extra damage. And then they've all got an emerald on them, except for the cleaver, because the durability on the weapon doesn't seem all that important, because you don't use the weapon enough to go through the durability very quickly. But emeralds for durability. And then you basically just end up with redstone for haste, quartz on the cleaver for sharp, and then there's the luckiest stuff, which is like fortune or looting 3. I mean, basically what I do is I just go through the Tinker's book, and essentially I set them up very much the same way. If you look at abilities, there's different ways. If you look through this book, it'll tell you all the different stuff. And for the most part, I just try to put as many abilities on as I can. I want to max out haste. I want to max out sharpness. I want to max out luck or, fortune / looting, and or put silk touch on it. And that's basically all I do. I don't go there's a lot of other weird stuff you can do with it, but I just don't find it all that good. So this is fine. And then the pickaxe also has a netherite ingot on it, so it has netherite mining. But for the most part, that's basically the whole setup. It's nothing complicated. Again, though, as I said, the tools, the vibranium and unobtainium stuff are just better. They are unbreakable, and the enchantments far exceed what you can get on Tinker's stuff. Not this one, but this one here has efficiency 8, which is basically insta-mine anything except for maybe obsidian. And Tinker's tools cannot get that good. They can get very good, but they can't get that good. These are just better. And they're unbreakable, which means you never have to worry about repairing them or anything like that at all. So, that's really what I want to go for. But I think next major project is going to be more power. And we have a couple ways we can accomplish that. We could expand this reactor and just make it bigger. Now that we have automatic ore processing set up, we're not going to run out of uranium, ever. And we automatically output the waste to our catch-all ender chest. So we could easily expand this thing and just make it very, very large. And that would be one way. That's probably the easiest way to increase our power. But it's also kind of boring to just do the same power but bigger. And there's a lot of other mods in the mod pack that have power generation. So, for example, we could play around with... Oh, it's not called RF tools. It's dimensional... I forget what it's called, but there's a power mod. The deep resonance, that's what it's called. Yeah, there's deep resonance. This thing can generate a huge amount of power, but with the proper setup to make good crystals. We've got reactors from a few different mods. There's all sorts of options, and I think it would be more fun to just do something other than make bigger reactor bigger. So I think that's probably what we'll do, but I think we're going to save that for next episode, because I'm out of time for this one. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but to be honest, that's okay. It's okay to have episodes that are a little bit shorter sometimes. And tomorrow, we are starting a new modded series that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So look forward to that. All the mods has been on a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule, but it's going to switch over this after today. It's going to be Monday and Wednesday. And then next week it will be normally Sundays and Wednesdays. But I want to get that first episode of the new series out to you on Sunday. So that's the plan. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for me. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Links in the description below, so check that out as well. Otherwise, my friends, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.